Hi guys, Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World Electronics in my off-grid wood shop. And I've got the Bedini motor wheel here. I've prepared myself a base where the Bedini motor is going to sit on. It is a piece of scrap wood, and I chose the best of the two sides. There's a saw cut in it for whatever reason. And here was a deep indentation where it was probably planed at the lumber mill. So that side is rough, so that's the bottom. So I sanded this a little bit, and now I'm going to run a router on it to smooth and round off the edges. And then the Bedini wheel is going to sit on there, suspended. So I've got to measure my coil, and yeah, I got to go over and grab that. Measure my coil and find out the height that I'm going to do this here. And then I'm going to make the frame that holds the wheel in place. And that's the project for today in the Building the Bedini motor series. Okay, now I've got the spool I'm going to use, and I set a block of wood on here. We want to be able to be flexible, and we want to be able to raise and lower that coil. So I want to have a little bit of space here for that possibility. So when I measure the frame for the Bedini motor, I definitely want to have some space, and also remember the magnets. So when I go ahead with a tape measure, I'm going to give myself some flex room. I'd rather have it that I need to put spacers under here than to have it too close and have the whole frame a wreck. So I'm going to space this out, and I'll put this in for the magnet as well. So we've got the thickness of the magnets, we've got the thickness of a spacer, and I can always slide in some thin plywood or paneling pieces as spacers as needed. And eventually I might come up with a wood screw idea where there's a threaded piece of wood that screws that up and down. Okay, so now I've got to get a rough measurement of how tall my frame needs to be. Also considering that I need it to come up high enough to where when I put the hole through there, that it's not going to weaken the structure of the wood. So it looks like 13 inches to the center of the shaft. So I'm going to make my frame 16 inches tall. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those pieces at 16 inches tall. Cutting my pieces for the frame. I want to put a little curve in this. I want it to make it look nice. So I have this plastic thing. I don't even know what this is. Might be a smoke detector alarm mount or something. It was in a box of hardware I got for free once. And I'm just lining this up on my wood so I can trace around it and make a curve. And I did the same on this one. I want to take it over to the bandsaw, and I'm going to cut a little curve in there and just make this look nice. What do you think? Still got to sand it. Okay guys, there's just sitting together, just pieced together. And what I've got is 2 pieces of scrap wood that are the exact same size. And I'm just wanting to look how the bolts sit in there just right, and that's where I want this to be. So I did my measurements right. It's going to look okay. Now I'm going to put a little bit of curve on this as well. I might even route the edges on that too to make it look nice. Why not, hey? So I'm going to draw a little curvy design on each one and round them off and then put them on there. This will be a very stable and rugged base for my Bedini motor. See? I could probably go half that or even come up at an angle or something, but I think I'm just going to curve it and leave it like that. It'll be very strong that way. What I've done is traced an old cookie tin onto here to get my curves, and then I'll take that over to the bandsaw and cut them out. Alright guys, I've given it a sanding. I might come back and do this a little bit again. I didn't see the little bit of roughness on the top, but I've run the router across all the parts and given it a sanding. It's too bad the base is so yellow. Maybe I'll paint this one day or stain it or something to blend that in better. But I routed it down to the same point on all the sides, on all the edges, which sort of looks cool. Rounded the stand off. I think it's going to be a nice looking Bedini motor. So anyway, I've got to go get some light. It's getting dark in here. Of course the camera brightens it up. Anyway, I got to get some light because it's getting dark in here for my eyes. And maybe we'll be back at tonight. We'll see how it goes. I gotta see what's going on with dinner. It's probably about 6 o'clock and it gets dark around 6:37. So we see what's going on in the house, and maybe I'll finish this tonight. Maybe not. I pre-drilled the holes in here, and I countersunk it a little bit with a larger drill bit. It's a little rough, but at least it'll sink in. I think I'll try to file or cut it off. So anyway, I can't find my countersink, so I did that a little bit. I've got one leg put together. It's already put together, and that'll go on here, and then I'm going to put this one together. So basically same thing. I'm going to measure this here and mark it, measure it here and mark it so I have dead center, and then when I put that on I can line it up as I'm putting the screws in. So I'll be back in a minute when I get that leg done. Alright, I'm just setting this together, trying to figure out where I want to put the hole for the wheel. So I've got some boards set up here in the coil because I'm definitely going to want to be able to adjust the height of the coil in the future. And again, I've got to account for the magnets too. So I've got to see how much space I have between the wheel and the coil spool. It looks like I can come down 3 inches. So that, with 3 plates of wood, definitely gives me some room. One will be the thickness of the magnet, and the other 2 will be spacers for me to space the coil from the magnet. I think I'm going to come down 2.5 inches then, so I have more playroom. Because I'm not sure how this is going to work. Sometimes there's a little bit of a gap, as much as a 1/2 inch or so, in between the coil and the magnets for tuning. So give yourself room for adjustment. Very important. Once you drill those holes and it's set up, it's done. Give yourself room for adjustment later for the height of this coil. Okay? So that's why I think I'm going to come down to 2.5 inches on here. So I'm going to mark this dead center and down 2.5 inches, and we'll be back in a minute to drill that hole through. I've clamped the 2 pieces together so that when I've pre-drilled the one, so that when I go through here, I'm going to go through both at the same time, and hopefully a very straight path. So I've got to be very careful here. My light just went off. I have no light. You do. I don't. Okay. Well, the camera sure makes it look bright, at least on the display. Well, I'm down to little LED lamps to light my way tonight. When that's done, it's done. So, I could wait till morning, but all I've got to do now is put in the final screws mounting this platform, and I'm done. So, you know, what do I do? I've just got to balance that out, center it, screw it in, and we've got ourselves a platform for a Bedini motor, see? So, if I did my holes right, that's dead centered, hopefully. Once I get them settled in here, straight. I think I will wait till tomorrow morning to finish this. There's just no way. I don't want to mess up in the dark. So I guess that's how it's going to be for tonight. We'll come back to it tomorrow, because I can't see all the angles and curves. So we'll call it a night, and we'll come back to this tomorrow and finish. I was really hoping to finish it today in one shot and get this video up to you guys, but it is how it is. Sometimes things don't work so well, and I did really try to do a very good job on this, try to make it look nice. So nice things take time. We'll see you guys in the morning and finish this video up. Finish this stand. It's going to be beautiful though. Alright, good guys, this part is taking me a long time. I've got one side mounted, 3 screws in the bottom, and I'm trying to use a T-square to get this straight and get it at the right distance from the edge and line it up, and everything wants to move, so it's awkward on me anyway. I'm trying to make this exactly the same, and it's awkward. Trying to make this line up so that the wheel is straight. We definitely want the wheel to run straight. So what I'm doing, and I probably won't do it on camera because I'm really taking my time at it, I am going to drill up from the bottom while trying to hold this together, and then I'm going to sink the screws in, and then hopefully that'll be all good. I don't have any clamps for like a 3-dimensional thing like that on a 90-degree angle. I'm sure somebody could probably give me tips in the down below in the comments if you know any better how you would clamp a piece that's standing up to a piece that's laying down. So I need a perpendicular clamp. I don't have anything like that, and I'm not exactly sure unless I fashioned a C-clamp onto that and then clamp that to the base. That would be sort of wobbly. I'm looking at my clamps as I think about it. It would be awkward, but we'll see if I can get this done. Okay, that took some time, but I've got a spinning wheel and I've got a front and a back. I decided to go with the smoother side of the base on the front and a little slit on the back, which will be hidden by the coil. And it's very firm. There's no wobble in the mounting of the wheel. Very steady. I'm really pleased with that. This is going to be my best Bedini motor ever, and I'm really putting the effort into this. My others were nice, but not as nice looking, and that's the big deal in this one. So I've got to put one more screw in, and that wheel is sort of stuck there now. That's a good thing. That's what we want. So this is now one with each other. And part of the reason I was not recording is I'll probably be in your way. So, yeah, I'm just going to put this last screw in. There it is, guys. My new Bedini wheel. Put together, fully off the grid. I put this together in my off-grid wood shop, guys. That is so cool. And I think one of the nicest pieces of work I've done in a while. Very, very straight. Really good. That took some effort to get that lined up nice. But there it is. Now, the coil is going to go down here. And that's going to be spaced out with a wood block. Okay. So I can raise and lower that as needed with spacers. And once I get it set to where I want... Is that whitewashed? Looks like it's whitewashed on the camera. Once I get that set to where I want it, then I can cut the blocks to fit the coil nicer and make it look good. But we also have the magnets going to be here, sticking out some. So that gives me a little bit of room to play around with on the coil, and the space between the coil and the magnets. So there we go, guys. The frame of the Bedini motor. Now, I'm going to take you over to the electronics lab and show you my other Bedini motors for comparison. And show you that my one was originally cobbled up on a piece of plywood, which then I have finally made into a box. And the other one, I was going to do a really nice job, but it got damaged in shipping, in transportation in a move one time. So this is, if you want to take your time and make it look beautiful, please feel free to do so. But that is an option. Beautiful doesn't affect the functionality of it. It does sort of look like a Ferris wheel, though. Sort of cool. So let's take you on over and talk about framing and options. Alright, guys? Now here's my original Bedini motor, the old one. And this was simple. All I did was took the piece of plywood it was on. There's just a bolt through the shaft. If you want it vertical or horizontal, does not matter at all. Okay? Not at all. In essence, that's a big sort of a Bedini motor. It's a pulse motor. Alright, so you can make it out of plexiglass. You can be flexible with the material you use. Wood, plexiglass, plastic, whatever you have on hand, as long as it is non-magnetically conductive. So, my original Bedini, as I said, was on a piece of plywood with a bolt through it. And there's a nut on the bottom. And that was it. And I just had it propped up on boards to stop it from wobbling. Eventually, I built a box around it. And this, you can see, is aged. It's been around a while. And then I put a control panel on the front, and I wired it up nice, and I took my time and I did it right. But again, all it was a bolt through a piece of wood and just a motor or a wheel that spun on its bearings. You don't have to be very complicated. Anything to hold that wheel in place, and you got to secure the coil once you finish adjusting it. We'll get to that later on. Anything to hold your wheel. Either way, horizontal, vertical, fancy, or like the one I just did, it's up to you. Alright? So I hope I gave you some good ideas. Let's look over here at this one. This was not as strong. Now this is pre-wood shop days. Okay, this was cobbled together in a shed. So all I had was clamps. And I've seen a lot of Bedini motors put together with clamps. The problem with this is they get wobbly with time. See? So I'm going to have to rebuild this one like I did with the other. One day I'll completely revamp this. The idea with this big boy, though, just to give you an idea, I had a big sheet of plywood and I was going to have coils all the way around this. But when it got damaged in shipping on me, in a move, I sort of put it off to the side and never got to it again. But at one point this had 3 triple coils. Alright, so this was a big boy at one point until it got broke. So there's another idea to prepare and plan for future expansion. Alright, I would, if you want to build it up and make it really powerful, go ahead and put a plywood backing on it like this. Just make sure your frame is a lot stronger than this one was. Alright, so there you go. There's some ideas. I've seen roller skate wheels tacked down to a board with a bolt. I've seen a hard drive motor being used with magnets glued around the outside edge. Yeah, something was walking on me. So there you go. There's different ideas, and I hope this helps a lot. It's Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World Electronics, and stay tuned for more videos in the series on how to build a Bedini motor from scratch.